Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. It's day one of Star Wars Celebration and we got absolutely bombarded with news. If you didn't see earlier today, I did upload a breakdown of the brand new Ahsoka trailer. There is so much in there. I really think it's worth checking out. I'll link it if I remember in the upper right hand corner. But there's been more stuff, some of which you probably haven't seen, including leaked trailers for Andor Season 2, The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and more. I'm going to be doing deep dives on all of these over the next few days on my Clips channel, X Clips. I'm sure you can find it if you search. But today I want to give just a broad strokes rundown of all the news. So if you can only watch one video, I think this is a really good choice. By the way, guys, we're approaching 1 million subscribers. It's been such an incredible journey. If you've been with me to this point and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I would love to hit that number by the end of the year. Anyway, let's get started. The really big news of today, I guess besides everything in the Ahsoka trailer, was the announcement of 3 new Star Wars movies. Some of these movies are probably transformed versions of previously announced ones or leaked ones. Others are a bit more surprising. Unfortunately, the panel where these movies were announced was actually behind closed doors, so aside from a brief blurb on StarWars.com, we don't have very much information. Thankfully, lots of people who attended the panel have been tweeting out what was said. Star Wars Explained, one of my buddies, did a good job of breaking it down. I'm going to be referencing some of his tweets, and I will also link to his account down in the description. Alright, so the 3 movies take place in 3 very distinct eras. There's the New Republic era, which takes place during the Mandalorian time period. Then there's 2 brand new eras, Dawn of the Jedi and the New Jedi Order. Yeah, those are both Legends names, and they're somewhat placed in the same part of the timeline. Let's start with the New Jedi Order. This is the one that got a lot of attention. Daisy Ridley was on hand for Star Wars Celebration, and it's been announced that she will star in a movie which shows her rebuilding the Jedi Order. It will take place, of course, after the events of Star Wars Episode 9, and really, that's all we know. I've got to say, as someone who was really critical of the sequel trilogy, especially Episode 9, I'm pretty excited for this. One thing the sequel trilogy did do well, in my opinion, is characters. Rey was pretty compelling from the start, and the other characters were too. I really hope we see John Boyega return as Finn. I would love to see appearances from Poe Dameron and others, because I feel like there's real potential there. They were let down largely by the writing, sometimes on a structural level, just the movies weren't compelling, other times because the dialogue was bad. I don't necessarily want to say these characters need a redemption, but there's definitely the chance to reinvigorate this point in the timeline. And this is, to be clear, essentially Star Wars Episode 10. This is a main continuation of the story that was ended in Episode 9. I don't think they'll call it Episode 10, but being realistic, that's what it is. On the other side of the timeline, we have Dawn of the Jedi. And yeah, that was the name of a comic in Star Wars Legends set at the very beginning of the time period. Star Wars canon has mentioned previously the idea of a Prime Jedi, the first Jedi Knight, and it sounds like Dawn of the Jedi will be exploring that, which again, very similar to the comics. As reported by Alex, the Dawn of the Jedi era will be similar to a biblical epic and will show the dawn of the Force 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga. Mentioning again explicitly, it's about this first Jedi, so that's a very interesting story and should add a good bit of variety to a universe which lately has been focused on Rebels or Republic versus Empire. Time to, do something different. The other major movie announcement was Dave Filoni's film. This is a sort of culmination of the Mandoverse. StarWars.com had an interesting blurb on this. It said, Dave Filoni's movie will focus on the New Republic and close out the interconnected stories told in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and other Disney Plus series. Presumably the interconnected story it's talking about is the emergent threat of Grand Admiral Thrawn. When it says other Disney Plus series, I'm guessing that refers to Skeleton Crew primarily. They haven't talked much about what that show is going to be about. We do know it's likely set in the same time period. It has sort of a Lost in Space type of vibe. I wouldn't be surprised if the crew in Skeleton Crew ended up in the same area that we see Thrawn and Ezra in Ahsoka. I do just want to address one thing. The blurb says again that it will close out the interconnected stories told in the Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, etc. I don't think that necessarily implies that those shows will end. I'm looking at The Mandalorian specifically. You can end the story told between these series without ending each individual series. Like The Mandalorian could continue just with a new plot arc, and I would personally like The Mandalorian to become a bit more low-key of a show after this big event. I love the idea of a serialized Western in the Star Wars universe. I think Mando Season 1 did that so well. If there are other high-profile shows and movies coming out, I do think think Mando could fit nicely into a niche like that. All right, let's talk some other panel exclusive content aside from the movies. And at this point, if you want to go into basically anything spoiler free, I would recommend clicking away because it's going to get spoilery. I'm going to talk specifically about the first few minutes of Mando episode 7 with exact details of what happens. So consider that a warning. I personally enjoy spoilers. I know some of you don't. You've got time to leave. All right, so the beginning of Mando episode 7 had a pretty incredible moment. Apparently, I haven't seen this yet, but it has been confirmed to me. There's a scene where Moff Gideon is in contact with several Imperials who form what's known as a Shadow Council. This includes Brendel Hux, and yeah, that's the dad of Armitage Hux, who appeared in the sequel trilogy. He's been included in other books like the Aftermath trilogy, but also a very interesting one, Captain Pellaeon. Pellaeon, it's revealed, has basically been Thrawn's right-hand man and seemingly made his way back to the Empire where Thrawn didn't. And I saw some confusion about this online. How is that possible? Well, if you watch the end of Star Wars Rebels, it's pretty clear. Thrawn radios up to Pellaeon, who's in orbit around Lothal. His fleet is devastated by the Purrgil, but he's not actually snatched away like Thrawn is. I can see him maybe getting caught up in the hyperspace wake and ending up somewhere random in the galaxy, sort of like what happens when he tries to attack Yavin and gets force pushed away. But it makes sense that he could have limped his way back to the galaxy while still being separate from Thrawn, although to be honest, we don't really know what is going on with Thrawn right now. People could also sign up to see the entire Mandalorian episode 7. I do know what happened. It seems very, very interesting and actually quite good. I, however, am not going to spoil it here. You can look on Star Wars Leaks if you want to see it on Reddit. But overall reaction from everyone I've seen, Battlefront update, Star Wars Explained, just a lot of random people I follow on Twitter, has been extremely positive, which I think was definitely needed after the most recent episode. We also got a little bit of footage from Andor, Skeleton Crew, and the Acolyte. Now, I'm going to break those down more on my X Clips channel, but as a sort of general point, Skeleton Crew gave us a look at most of the kids, and we do see one of the pirates from The Mandalorian, that one who survived in the prior episode before this most recent one. The Acolyte trailer showed us Carrie Ann Moss and a look at some High Republic Padawans training, while the Andor trailer really just gave us a highlight of characters we're familiar with, including some of the ISB agents. We had Dedra reappear, others. That show is still filming, so we really didn't get a lot. That, however, is really all I've got for today's video. If you've got any questions or if there's anything you'd like to see me cover either later today on X Clips or tomorrow on this channel, please let me know down below. I've got a lot more thoughts about the Ahsoka trailer too. I may do another full-length breakdown, or most likely I'll continue talking about it on the shorter videos. Again, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. It was such a fun day today. I'll see you soon.